to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
So this is a work session, and we're going to hear the BAC recommendations. We've got on a worksheet here, and if someone from the BAC wishes to. But anyway, before we do that, let's do the Selectmans announcements, if there are any.
Yeah, I got a couple. School deliberative session, February 5th, 2025. This Saturday at Reach Across America, Hillside Cemetery and Goddard Road promptly. And the Christmas dinner is tomorrow night at Hidden Hills, approximately 5 o'clock, 12 o'clock.
5 o'clock? When?
It's, you can show up 5 o'clock.
Oh.
Some show up at 12 in the
Oh, yeah. No, nobody needs to show up at 12. There's nothing there. Okay.
Minutes never stop there.
Thank you. Okay. The consent agenda, we have the meeting minutes that were deferred to this week. Has everyone had a chance to review them?
11:18, that was the meeting.
That was the meeting, and then we also had,
JRMA, I believe.
right,
Yeah, I'm okay with that.
good. And then we have the work session that was sent to both of you, all three of us. The work session from Monday? No? Okay.
That's up to me.
All right.
Excuse me, Tom.
No.
It's back in the corner.
Oh, I'm sorry, yes. Yes. I got a note in here, start me. Right? So let's see if we'll start it. Oh, maybe push record?
What a good idea.
Turn power on. Ah. Okay, meeting was started at 6:03, and the pledge was given and Selectmen's announcements. Do you want to repeat those for this? We basically have a school session in February, and we also have the Saturday, we have Wreaths Across America. Thank you. The minutes, Tom, have you read the minutes?
I have.
Okay, and the payroll accounts payable for 12/12, they're here in the folder. Have you had a chance to look at them?
I have not.
Okay, do you want to defer that until next week when you get a good look?
It's up to you, I'm deciding anyway, everyone's choice.
Well,
You can just defer.
all right, well,
5 minutes.
I will look at it.
yep, so we have signed them, and they will, the people will be paid. Anyway, I will just keep consent agenda. Oh, and a special permit for live nativity, and that was on Fitzgerald Road. Do you remember that, Laura? Did you catch that, Laura, May?
Mm,
The discussion?
Did we get a
No,
copy?
I don't have a copy of it.
The same thing as they did last year.
Right.
Given to the fire department earlier this week. Should have been back here by now.
Okay.
But it's the same thing, same time, same place, just a different date,
Okay,
1 year later.
and that is on Friday, right?
Are you looking for that special event permit?
Yeah.
I can get it.
Have you seen it?
I've seen it.
Was it any different than last year?
No.
What's the date?
You approved it last year?
It's Saturday.
Saturday. Okay.
I can run and get it for you, and otherwise it's the same.
It'll,
as last
if
year.
you can bring it tomorrow, we will get it signed, but we can approve it now. So,
And it's going to be from 5 to 7 p.m.
thank you. So, consent agenda for meeting minutes for 11/18, make a motion, and the special events permits for live activity on Saturday from 5 to 7. Do I have a second?
I'll second the motion.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
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 So we approved the minutes and the special event permits. We're moving payroll and accounts payable to the next meeting. Okay, we could do it later tonight. New business, budget committee recommendations. Does anyone want to speak to this matter? We do have the copies of it here. Does everyone have a copy of the recommendations that we provided? Also, everyone on the committee, we have an updated budget.
It's a paper you looked at that.
I'm,
Recommendations, I know what the number is.
yeah, changes on
Just
POC.
maybe the paper when I got home.
I understand.
20 minutes ago.
Working budget cuts. I got 3 pages. Oh, there's 2 more recommendations from fire department. I was about to print out. Proposed. Where are they? I thought that was one of the ones that were up here.
I thought Phil was gonna be here with copies, so I did not make copies.
Is this the document here is what I want? Changes at this is changes at POS meeting?
The one that had the BAC recommendations with the reasons,
Okay.
the justification.
Bob is looking for
That one, but it's a mess.
Well, that's okay.
It's a mess now.
No,
I've
that's
got
not,
this one. Is this it?
no, it's the one that was typed.
It's this one, without all the writing.
Oh, yes, yes,
Without all
yes.
the writing on it.
Right. Okay,
That
It
it?
works, it works.
thank you.
The only reason that, you've already seen this, the justifications were not fully explained, they were in the minutes. I gave you a list of, I think that this is being glossed over, the, zoning enforcement and assessing. I gave you a list of what the duties were when the job was 17 hours and 21,000 for both positions combined. The jobs are not doing this. The assessing clerk is not doing nearly what the previous one was doing. We're paying a lot more money for it to have the assessing firm do it. So to go from 21,000 to almost 40,000 for a position that was 17 hours for both is really, I think it's empire building and budget padding. It's gonna be a make-work position. If they're not doing,
I'm sorry, is this the BAC recommendations?
this is what I explained when we made the recommendation not last meeting, it was 2 meetings ago. I mean, I went through the whole thing on the history on the assessing clerk and why we made the recommendation that it should be cut. So you're going from 17 hours, 21,000 to I don't know how many hours and 35,000. It doesn't make sense. If the former one could do it in 17 hours and he figured a third of it was code, which I understand that needs to be more now, but it went from 6,000 to 12,000 for code.
Right,
And
I'm
now it's
sorry,
going to 18.
can I stop? you a
That's
moment?
why the recommendation. If you read what the duties were,
Can I stop you for a moment?
sure.
You're in a sense, we're looking for what the recommendations were. Maybe we can have the explanation afterwards, but it's not clear. I still don't know what the recommendation is.
The recommendation was to cut 3,000 from code and cut 5,000 from assessing, along with the staff development and mileage, because I thought that code, it was agreed that they were going to be using the rec truck. That was our understanding. We also made a recommendation for at least 20 to come from the executive secretary, because it's a part-time position with no benefits. Staff development should be level funded. This isn't the year to expand. Some of this was discussed Monday, so I also want to go into, because I didn't see the list on police department overtime. There's a lot of stuff on the list that she's claiming is overtime that should not be on there. It should be coming out of the detail, not paid from, the budget. Unless the policy's changed, the, details for Halloween, for, all the detail stuff for town events was supposed to come out of detail fund, not be paid from taxpayer funds. And there were a lot of hours for that in the, police list, which I don't have. I read it when I was here and I was like, oh. Senior dinner was supposed to be a volunteer by the police chief to deliver meals, and now it's down for 2 people for 2 hours overtime each. We shouldn't be paying for that. Taxpayers shouldn't be paying. We shouldn't be paying for them to hand out candy overtime.
Agreed.
And it's on their 4 hours each. So I think that the police overtime, our recommendation, I think needs to be seriously considered. It should be level funded.
I'm sorry, so you wanted that level fund?
That was our recommendation.
Okay, thank you.
Ma'am, may I? The line was 80 in the budget, and our discussion was to take it back to 60.
Okay, so 20,000 on overtime.
Well, that's level funded.
I just want to make sure you understood the where on a slightly more condensed basis.
The rec wages you already discussed yesterday, for the, sports coordinator coming out. Halloween is a stupid little thing. They charge for that event, and that money goes not into the general fund, it goes into the rec revolving. And I thought that was why you said it couldn't use taxpayer money if they're going to be collecting a fee that they're gonna keep. So,
He clarified.
anyway, that's a stupid little thing, but,
He clarified.
huh?
He
I
clarified.
know he said he got
Oh,
donations.
I'm
for
sorry,
other things.
what did he say?
He said some of the items come from, rec revolving, and then others come out of the general fund. And I think it was the candy that's provided comes out of the general fund, they don't get donations for that. They get donations for the other, discussed it on Monday.
Oh, I know, for the prizes and for the,
Yeah,
but I mean, they charge a fee to go there. They charge either per person or per family, and that money goes into the rec revolving. And I thought that's why you said, anyway, that could be looked at. The other thing that wasn't a dollar amount was, and I spoke with Mike about it, is all the phone expenses at all the buildings. Since they have generators now, it needs to be looked at, because copper is wicked expensive. Mine, I'm cutting mine from $72 to $20, and it will backfeed through my alarm system through copper, just like a phone. But that's not what they tried doing here, so, in this building. They didn't try backfeeding it through the copper, they pulled the copper. So, the other buildings don't pull the copper, but, yeah, the alarm systems can be, backed in. And I don't know if there was anything else in the minutes, just general suggestions.
Or you go on the radio.
No, in the minutes.
High level, we came up with about $84,000.
Right.
I'm looking for Mike's email, have a recommendation.
They're in here on this list.
He just sent me some.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, they're on here. I talked to them too.
7,000 being moved from solid waste out of the revolving account,
Thank you.
500 from signs, 10,000 for materials.
Right,
Right.
okay.
So I think the 7,000, though, I think he'd already moved some already, so
30.
whatever the balance was in that.
Right, so too.
He moved 30, to come out of the revolving, but then when he found out that the fee schedule had been raised, he was comfortable using the rest of the increase,
Okay, this
because it
is,
should be like an extra 15,000 income.
We haven't voted on a raise yet, have we?
A raise.
On for the fee.
Yeah, you guys
we
voted.
did,
last week
Last week?
Yeah,
I thought we just.
We went up from 30
to
to
15 with
50.
$10.
with, senior was 25. And,
What's the call, maybe, like,
Okay.
first,
Yeah.
There was a
And free
motion
punch
and a
there.
vote.
Well, I'm not just discussing that. Last week.
oh, I had that happen.
Like, I haven't seen the minutes for the one, I can't guarantee it, I'll make the motion second time.
Yeah, well, let's make
Yeah.
a motion again, just to be sure.
Fine.
No,
Just in case.
And it gives
Doesn't have to
clarity.
have it twice.
I haven't seen minutes either, so let's see.
So I make a motion to raise the transfer station sticker fee from $30 to $50, 25 for seniors for the first sticker, and in the first year to give a $10 punch card to the people.
I will second that. All in favor?
Oh, I was hoping we were gonna have discussion,
What was the senior?
25.
because I was gonna suggest.
We had a
we give
discussion last week.
$10 sticker to the people that are paying for $15, not the 25.
So 50, 25 in the free card, is that it?
Free card, yeah, first year.
First year.
Yep.
We pretty much guarantee that over 50% of those cards will be used.
All right,
Say
yes,
January 1st, right? Oh, that.
start, no,
No, when the stickers are
Um,
in effect,
in-
April 15th, I believe.
what was it?
April 15th.
Yeah, April 15th, tax day. And,
If you wouldn't mind, there's just only one of the lines that I'd like some clarification on.
Wait a minute, can we finish that motion?
Oh, yeah.
I'm sorry, I thought you did vote.
yeah,
They did, but the stickers are good until the 14th. They start selling them in March,
They do.
February.
right.
Yeah,
So,
for the 2025 stickers.
yeah,
So
so
we'll
we
be-
should make that clear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
To make it clear to the people who sell the new stickers.
correct. Okay,
Sorry, Dan.
Not a problem.
We did take a vote on that, Carl.
and we have a second, we have a vote. We have two.
You do.
We have
You got an heir and a spare.
Yeah,
Only because of the general confusion last week, and Lori may thrilled to see you here tonight so you can make it smarter, okay? It felt like we spent an hour kicking around what percentage a raise, no matter the rose smelling as sweet might be, and how many dollars that would be. And now I look at this page, and I'm just saying that at no point do I remember a number between 20 and 21,000. So could someone just help me so I understand? When I look at that DH code, that is for the department heads only,
yes.
okay? That's question one, 1A.
So, and we got, I got that number, pretty close to it, just going down the list of department heads and who was getting.
Lovely, and now we have that in the record, which makes me such a happy.
Exactly.
Second part of this. The one thing I didn't think that I heard when we finished up last week was what the raise would or would not be. I do not remember the BOS voting on that. Okay, so that is still, I'll be kind and say up in the air for the moment.
It is.
Well, that's all I need for now, is just so that at least I feel like I know where the ball is on the field. Thank you for your time.
In fact, we had discussed what the, what 1.5%, so we were playing around with those numbers before the meeting.
Thank you.
Cleanup,
Just because I think very linear and
okay?
I don't like to go all over the place. The BAC is recommending about $84,000. But I think we should take a minute to see if some of those changes are already incorporated in these numbers before we start adding and subtracting, right?
They did do some
So
of
we'll be here till
them.
midnight.
Yeah, no, they did do some of them on Monday and they may be in the budget.
Changes there on this budget here, This new budget sheet that was handed out incorporates changes at BOS meeting on 12/9. And here's a sheet that, I don't know if you got a copy of it,
These include
and they are reflected in the budget.
everything we
you
already
have.
presented.
What?
All of these are what we already presented.
These are what the BOS moved on, not the BAC. Okay, and now we're looking at the
But there could be
BAC.
over.
Some of these may be overlaps. So, so I'm not sure how people want to proceed on this. We can go through departments where there are recommendations and we can look at them. We haven't done a few of those there. We have department head recommendations that came out, today. And they are not in the budget. Is that correct? They're not in this budget. So you have a copy of the department head changes. I've got too many pieces of paper on my desk.
Which department heads request and put through changes, reductions?
Rick did,
Mike did,
and,
town office. The,
Fire department.
and that's not on, let's see, it's not on the sheet. There was a proposal for 18,000 to be reduced from the, salaries in town office. And that's reflecting the executive secretary going part-time for, 4 months.
or not, so if I was asked to do it not as part-time, but starting, in April.
Starting in April.
Yeah.
So that doesn't include the part-time for the beginning of the year? I thought the reduction was 4,500, the difference between part-time and full-time. And for 4 months, that would be 18,000.
Is our I'm getting very confused. Is
Okay.
our secretary part-time employee now?
She is currently working part-time, the person
Why
in
are we
that
talking,
position
why are
is
we talking
executive
4
secretary.
and 8 months? Next year, she'll be, that position, I heard that that position will be part-time for 12 months.
If we elect to do that. So the recommendation originally was, it was in the budget as full-time, because this was a temporary, possible temporary thing. And if this person in the current position leaves, then it may revert to full-time. That's what we hired. So the proposal was to reduce this amount by 4 months until April. And the new board can select to make it full-time if we have a new person, if we're able to get somebody, and we may not be able to get something. I'm sure we'll be able to get somebody part-time, but the feeling was in the town office that they need a full-time position there, and that this was a person had asked to step back.
Do we have a resignation as of March
Do we have a resignation?
for
No,
a
we don't.
part-time employee?
No.
And it's
And
a part-time job next year. I don't see how it's not a part-time job. The person that we have has not expressed any intent of giving us a resignation as of March 12 or 15 or whatever.
Mhm.
And it's a part-time job for the year, as budgeted. Sure.
I'm not sure what's happening in my office. Might need someone for more hours in my office. So that position in full-time is going to help with that.
You know what? I'm gonna do the budget based on what is fact today, not what I don't hear anything about from anybody. I never receive an email about, I never get a phone call. I'm gonna base it upon what was presented to us. And what we have is a part-time secretary. And you're budgeting, you're trying to budget a full-time secretary when we have a part-time secretary. And if it was approved for the part-time secretary to work those hours, then apparently that's enough hours. So I would cut the entire 12 months back to part-time wage. And if that's not enough money in that budget, then let it come out of somebody else's wages. All right, so I see a 24% increase in wages in here for one person. Let that person make up the difference.
Dan, Tom, do you have any comment? Okay.
I don't
Dan,
think you want to hear what I have to say.
that's okay. Roberta.
So I actually agree with, you have to budget for what you have, not for pipe dreams. I mean, if you have a position that is adequately funded and working, then I don't know how you can say, we're gonna make it a part-time position, and that person doesn't wanna be, or full-time, and that person doesn't wanna be full-time. It's like forcing somebody out. But the other thing, I was really confused by what Lori May just said about needing extra help in your office. I thought when we paid thousands and thousands of dollars for the new system, you said one person could do that, both jobs in that office with the new.
There's certain parts
Hardware.
of the year, so one person actually shouldn't be doing everything, right?
I don't disagree with that.
So when the position in the secretary position was, being advertised there a while back in probably about this time last year, there was someone that could have come in and proved things and made sure everything was okay so that I didn't have to do it, just a second set of eyes. I need to focus on things. There's just way too many interruptions. It causes chaos, and mistakes. I need an accountant to help me. So Carla's fine doing what she does. She's a bookkeeper. She processes paperwork. And yes, their system is fantastic. Getting, you put the budget in, it spits out the reports, a little bit of manipulation as far as setting it up so it looks nice. But certain times a year, I need help. And the person that's in the position over in the executive secretary position, I don't think she's an executive secretary. So I don't think she would be able to manage that,
So the positions, it's like for years, it was, actually it was part-time, but it was, a bookkeeper and accountant, part-time. So I'm a little confused if this hardware, this whole package was supposed to eliminate, the need for more help. In fact, it was supposed to reduce the workload. And I feel like, it's kind of like maybe a bill of goods, like.
So it's the little things like packaging stuff, pulling out all the files, right? Should you be paying me to be doing that? Probably not. Pulling out all the files, putting in boxes, making boxes, that kind of stuff. I'm sure she could do that kind of thing. I don't know if she's got the time to do it when it's part-time. Setting up new folders, all the folders for HP. We want to really spend my time and money to be doing that kind of thing. Seems kind of like a waste of money to me. Those kind of things, just the manual stuff. I've got enough work to do myself, the NHRS, which it's taken half a day away doing the NHRS. But this time of year, I'm just buried. Then you've got open enrollment and all the filing, that has to go filed away in the personnel folders associated with that. Carla doesn't, it's a lot of this manual work.
And you do take vacations.
You do take vacations, yeah. And nobody,
We need two of you, Lori. Trust me, I have observed it.
certain
We
times
still
of the
have
year,
the
we should
administrative
be.
staff to manage the business flowing through this building, period.
If you look
So
at what
we
we
can pitch
manage
it
in
over.
our office compared to Peterborough, I keep bringing it up only because I work there, so I know. And in all the departments, I think Peterborough has like 70 full-time employees and we have 26?
Reconciles your checking accounts.
So it's done through the system. The treasurer does that.
You do,
Which,
you do have internal controls.
yes, we try to, with so few people, it's difficult, but at least that.
Dan?
Okay. So for prep for this, I got to spend most of this afternoon working on licensing for employees and whether or not they were going to be full-time or part-time. Little did I know that it was merely a prep for this evening. Lori Mae, thank you for the deeper dive. Okay. First thing that would jump out at me, and I don't want Bobby twitching here, okay, is,
Oh, I will.
I know, but you know, that's one of my roles.
We
And I
have
understand you
emergency
need
squad.
a part-time or sometime temp for certain months. Yes. Do I know that most of the people I know who have to make those kind of choices, the first thing they would do would be make sure it was not one of your already part-time employees to move that into being a full-time employee position with benefits. Okay, which takes some of the sting out of doing this, because what I thought I heard, and I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, okay, is you need this help, even if it's regularly, okay? It is a part-time, so I'm gonna pull 16 hours a week just out of the air, okay? I have heard so many different versions of what the position is that's being discussed as opposed to, and I'm trying to stay away from the person, and what their strengths are and what their strengths are not. Whether you have a letter or not on, okay? You have to look at, it sounds that you're expecting to bring somebody in. So now you're talking about bringing somebody in, and one of the things you're gonna be looking for is, can they work in the accounting office? Doesn't it seem like we should find somebody who can do that job well? And then we find somebody who may even already have a background in this, and forgive me, we're still avoiding the benefit package. Which, again, makes this a little more workable and palatable. But without a letter, without even an MOU of saying, okay, I'll give you a letter January 1st, but my intent is to stop on March 15th or whatever, so that then, because I never heard the development of what it is you'd be advertising for. Because that's what we spend all day working on is, if we're gonna be putting out for a license or a position, what are we putting it out for? Are you putting it for a true order entry, entry level position? Are you looking for someone who has a specific skill set? As the difference between a bookkeeper, an accountant, a comptroller, each one of those is vastly different. And if you brought in somebody who was a genuine accountant to do that on a part-time basis, I'd be wondering, why aren't you doing something else? Okay? Let's talk about what the target needs to be, and then we can back into where this would fit into the budget.
The target needs to be to fund the employees that we have now. We haven't hired any new employees. We haven't put part-time person back to full-time starting March, at least that I know of. I don't know that we've done that yet. So we're funding the part-time bookkeeper and a part-time right now executive secretary. That's what we're funding.
So from a budgeting perspective, would you consider leaving the executive secretary part-time, so reduce that budget expense? And then maybe for a portion of next year, adding something in for a part-timer for Lori. And then you have time to examine what exactly it is that you need.
Once again, this is day number 1 that I've heard anything about it. First day, we're doing the budget for next year, and now I'm finding out we want to add people. First time I'm hearing it this year.
Fair enough, we had a full-time position, and was just hoping it would become a full-time position. I guess I was hoping that lady who applied back this time last year would have taken it, would have helped all the way around. She would have been capable.
Sounds like a file clerk for boxing up stuff mostly.
Anyway,
Mostly.
I want to fund the secretary. And the funding for the secretary in this budget is to full-time. Yet my secretary is part-time. Therein lies my problem.
Okay. Now, please rule me out of order if you must, I will take no umbrage.
Okay.
Did this issue come up this way Monday, when there were people who would have, should have, could have been able to answer that? I'm not picking, I'm just saying, gosh, that sounds like it would have been a really good time to have this clarifying discussion.
What was brought up is that the BAC recommended at least an estimated $20,000 cut for the town office executive secretary, as the position is now part-time. Laurie said 20,000 would probably be okay at that time. I thought we had accepted it. Apparently, we had not accepted the $20,000 cut. What I'm hearing now is that it might be more than $20,000 cut. I'm not sure.
Well, basically, I discussed this with her after the meeting, that, the ideas, we weren't sure of how long we would have our current person in the executive secretary position. They move out, they do other things, don't have a letter. And, the position is, was listed as full-time, that she has pushed down to part-time. And that's why it evolved. So it stayed in the budget as full-time because we didn't know if she was moving full-time or not. These were personal decisions made by individual employees who felt they wanted to work part-time for a while.
That's enough for right now, thank you.
Yep. Okay. And hence, I put forward, maybe 4 months, cut out much of the budget. And when we would, if we got a new position in there, would it be full-time or part-time? That would probably be the candidate and, what their capability was.
I'm hearing it, I'm able to follow along at least to a point. And I do not mean this in a harsh manner. It's difficult because of where we are in the process. And sounds like the only thing we're sure of is that we're not sure.
Mhm.
And I'm not pointing fingers, it's not anybody's fault. But it would be nice to be further down the line.
Yep.
On that, and I have a feeling that's probably already been expressed and maybe expressed again.
Right.
And I'm
So-
willing to stop.
Lori, May, what would be the cost of a part-time at the current burn rate, if you wish, of payroll?
So we
So the current rate that we pay today.
It's the current rate we pay today by the hours, et cetera. So basically, what's the replacement number we would be able to put in there? And is the number we have in there just the executive secretary, or is there another position in there? Just want to verify.
Yep, also the minute taker was added.
Right, so that is in there, we can eliminate that. So,
Let me ask a question then, since minute take was brought up. What meetings are the minutes being taken for?
that would be, you may know this
One,
better, it's,
only one.
one at this time? Yep.
They
Okay.
hired someone for their secretary, and there was a minute taker.
That's right.
One meeting.
So they only.
That minute taker's position should be under ZBA.
Well, it should be under, Concom. If that's the only one they're doing minutes for.
I don't think they're doing this for, they might be doing it for Concom, I don't know.
Oh, is it for CBA they're doing it for?
No, we hired,
Employees,
That's
we
fine.
hired a minute taker to do minutes for
Boards and commissions.
whoever needed to have them done, because we didn't have any secretaries or minute takers.
Yep.
We don't have
And
that
then
idea.
the ZBA hired somebody that do their minutes and all the other work. And from the best I know, the minute taker is just that one meeting, and I don't think she's doing minutes anywhere else, and she was first class. I watched her in action.
Concom doesn't have it, like,
They don't have anybody, that girl was here one time, that was as needed, I think it is.
Concom.
I thought she was, I'm sorry, maybe,
Is she doing it for them now?
Carla, can
We
you,
don't have to.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, can you shed light on this?
Yeah, they did have a minute taker.
Yeah.
Concom.
Right. So she's working for Concom.
Yes.
She was hired for two positions, Concom and ZBA. And ZBA is now covered by their secretary and basically it's Concom. And they have two meetings a month. Exactly.
Except for December.
Except for December. Yep, sure. Roberta.
Yeah, so this was brought up on several meetings. If the minute taker is under the executive, then the Concom, wages never got adjusted down because all, Al, they're still paying his clerk, excuse me, no names. The clerk is still getting paid for other work besides the minutes.
Correct.
But that line's never been adjusted.
So that should probably be reduced at some point.
You want to take wages, those wages away from Al?
No, he doesn't do the minutes
No
anymore.
names, please. Yeah. Yeah.
He
That's all
does, he does clerk stuff, but $900 was spent last year and there's still 2,400 in there. And Concom agreed that if they're not paying for their minutes to be done, that should be reduced.
By how much?
I don't know, it's to what Al does,
Like,
probably 1,000.
Like certainly by the amount they're paying for taking minutes.
Has he done minutes at all this year?
There was one meeting, oh yeah, but she didn't start.
No. Oh, yeah. Oh, he did?
Yeah, she didn't start until later. And there were a couple meetings she couldn't come or something, so we did, so,
Because there's only $900 spent out of that budget for that purpose. But I know he does a lot of other stuff besides the minutes.
Okay, no one instructed me to make any changes to the Concom.
It's probably only, but it's only help add up, probably about $1,200 because it has to be, he still has to be funded.
All right, there was no question though, this, we're talking about the executive secretary position and we want to know how much of that should be in there plus the minute taker. And, needs to be preserved.
So I can tell you what it would be if we take, and reduce the hours of the executive secretary down to what she's currently working. And the savings with all the associated benefits. $49,906.
Yep. That's our budget gap.
It is.
or you're talking about wages hourly in your town office.
Yeah,
So year to date, it's 53,247. If you annualize that, it comes to something a lot less than 70,581.
That was through 10 months.
So add another 10 grand to that, 11 grand. So this year would be 64,000, so the jump from this year to next year is even more than the $12,000. What am I missing?
Well,
We've added a minute taker, is that?
yeah, there's other in there. There's other, in the hourly, there's some other people in that just besides the executive secretary.
Right, but if you annualize this, the 53,247,
Right.
it's 5,300 a month. There's 2 months left in the year. So you're gonna be way under budget.
wait, under budget, right, because they were budgeted as full time, and she's only working. So most of the year was at part time.
Right, so if we're under budget and we're proposing 91,000 for next year, and we're saying that 16% ahead of where we were, that's 16% ahead of budget, but it's considerably more compared to actual. So the jump is even greater than $12,000, you follow
Yeah, because we're only gonna spend 63, not 78.
me? Right.
So the jump you're talking about is from 78 to 91 is 16% when it's actually much larger than that.
Right.
Actual,
Okay.
actual,
Right, because.
not
Not
budgeted, but actual expenditures. Yeah, because we're only gonna spend, 63, it's budgeted for 78, so the jump is from 63 to 91, which is about 30% jump from actual expenditures proposed.
But if we are gonna, so have we agreed that the offset is going down to the number of hours that she's currently working?
If I'm not mistaken, I think it's budgeted for full-time currently, is it?
It is budgeted for full-time.
So the way I would look at it is, I understand we've underspent it, but if she leaves, if she decides, that individual decides to leave
Right.
in January, and you need to hire a replacement person full-time, we're gonna be in the same boat as we are with the police department, and adding large numbers to the budget right out of the box next year.
If the mints are candy and nuts and everything.
I'm sorry,
Christmas.
let's,
So
You need to
that's
budget
right,
for what you have.
stop. Can we let Tom finish, please?
I would be cautious about, I understand the expenditure side, it's sort of a zero-based thing, like you're saying, but the need is there for that staff, and we can whittle it down all we want, but the work won't get done, just like what Laurie's saying. And I think the town office administratively is target for every budget cut that I hear. And I think you'd be foolish not to realize that we need a full-time person with all that goes through this office in a day. And to take the money out of that budget randomly is a mistake.
The reason you've heard just budget cuts in the town office exclusively so far is because we're only on page 2 of the budget. We're only on page 2.
And we need to, at some point, we need to move on pretty quick. I don't know how we're gonna wrap this up. Roberta, you have one last? Yeah.
So Tom says, oh, everybody's picking on town office. Interestingly enough, Tom, fire
I'm sorry,
department,
stop.
fire department, police
not do this
department, and
personally.
highway all came in with substantial cuts.
See that?
The town office has added their budget grossly, they've come in with 800.
I'm sorry,
I think that it needs to be looked at. We had a administrative assistant, town administrator years ago, and this is exactly how it got started. There was no oversight. The budgets got so padded that we ended up flat budgeting for 3 years, even with raises and increases, getting all the fat back out of the budget. And I see it starting again. We're talking about $50,000 because what if? You can't budget that way. You have to budget for what you have. And I don't think that you can put that in the default because that's not what we have. I think that you would have to budget for what's existing in the default.
The point of fact, she proposed an $18,000 cut, so it's close to 20,000.
Where?
I told you at the beginning of the meeting that they had proposed an 18,000. That was the beginning of this discussion.
Where?
Because I told you verbally, and it's not written down, there was a newer updated sheet. So,
Oh, in the part-time secretary position for the first 3 months of the year.
right.
That's peanuts.
Well, It's 18,000, it's not 800. Just
It's
make
not
the point.
50,000.
Yeah. So, anyway,
I cut it 49 either.
it's not cutting it, you're right. So, let's look at, we're gonna have to move on this at some point. I'd like some other input, but not now. And, we need to look at the rest of the budget. And there's part of these recommendations from, that came in from fire department, further cuts, highway. And I'm a little concerned about one of the highway cuts, but let's do one at a time.
Concerned about materials.
I'm concerned about materials.
It's just,
Anyway, I'm concerned about materials.
I-
So, but I want to move on, Tom. I don't want to discuss it yet. I want to discuss fire right now. So, let's look at we were at, PAC budget cuts, or the budget cuts we made Monday. We were at, 57.45, and we have a further call wages reduction by 10,000 on fire. The per diem, was a reduction of 3,640. And that was, one of the hourly wages was a, change of hours. The person doing the, bookkeeping in the afternoon and going on calls, from either 5, 6 had their hours changed from 3 hours a day to 2.5 hours a day, starting at 3:30. It saves us $27.50. And those were his recommendations for further cuts. And I commend them for coming forward for, we have to, just do random stuff because they know what they can handle. So, anyway, those are the chief's recommendations. It's another 16,390 a ton.
the 20,000 from Succession was already removed in the number you just spit out.
There was 30,000, 20,000 we did Monday. These are further cuts.
28,000 we cut.
Right.
The whole line item was only 30,
So
so.
taxes, remember the retirements on the fire department, about 30%.
Right.
Oh,
Yep.
okay.
I already called Laurie on this.
I'm going.
Yeah. Dan?
Okay, I only want 30 seconds. I'm getting a little confused and let me just explain why. Okay? We're jumping around from sheet to sheet here. We kind of stopped when Bob mentioned we're only on page 2. Can we, I don't care what direction, but can we either work from the bottom of the budget or from the sheets? Which I hope will not just be easier for me, but for everybody as we go along here, that we can be a little more sequential.
So I don't know if you're proposing we go through sheet by sheet because we don't have recommendations on all the sheets unless you do. Well, you have not revealed before.
We've got a bunch of them that we've discussed before, but things haven't seemed to change and
Okay.
some of them that we did change, it doesn't seem like the figure we agreed upon.
Right. So let's go through it sheet by sheet where it says on.
Notes brought out, I can just run
Yeah.
through it.
This is good.
All right,
Thank you.
just on page 3, it's the town report, very top, bonus guide, the town report. And that's going up almost $1,000. Did we get a cost estimate for just black and white bonus guides? Just versus the insistence on having a colored, three color voter guide?
I
I,
believe we did get it, we discussed that at that meeting, and she had her pricing, if I'm not mistaken.
she had her pricing, I assumed it was just the first and last page color. And the honorarium,
Talking about the bonus guide.
oh, the bonus guide, I'm sorry.
She wanted a 3-color bonus guide.
Right.
Which is,
I don't know if that's in there as that other code or other code.
that was
I believe we wanted the 3 colors so that the chart had colors.
That's one page. So, yeah,
It's cool.
Oh, chart.
They took it with the tax breakdown. And if it was black and white, it'd be difficult to see, and I think Bob wanted to color, so it stood
So-
out, but I could, it was months ago.
Okay.
At least 2 months ago.
so we need to find out that on,
So that could be counted. If
right,
all this guy is being proposed in color print, it should just be dragged back down to black and white.
okay,
We had a staff development cut, that was $2,000 when we cut.
it was staff development, I thought was, you had written down 2,000, I assumed you meant 500, and we're reducing it to flat, 2,000. They were proposing a 500 increase, and I know in a message to me, you said
So it's a 500 cut.
it's a 500 cut.
All right, just go down to the tax collector, she had an hourly wage increase of 16.30. Did we cut down,
Yeah, we did.
we cut down the town clerk at 16.30, thank you. I told you this would be easy.
Yeah,
All right, can we go back to the last one, I'm sorry, I'm taking notes on the other one?
Well,
So the one before the town clerk tax collector discussion, what was that one?
that was about the town report and bonus side. Go to the next page under technology, I guess there was a cut already on the annual support maintenance agreement with the PD department.
Yep.
Okay, that was done. All right, computer hardware, we've got almost a $2,000 increase. We need a $2,000 increase, we're getting new servers and things like that.
off of ARPA, and we probably don't. So, that's a good one to cut.
What could we cut that by?
I say we could cut it by, I would say we could cut it at least by 2,000.
That sound fair, Tom?
We've only spent 2,300 year to date.
Well, there's some not on the bill yet, we're just, a couple of weeks ago. I was holding them off, because I didn't want to spend the money before we knew where we were at. Under technology, computer hardware.
Yeah.
But since we're getting the server, and we,
Why don't we just make it a flat budget? And
make it a flat budget,
Not increase it by
right,
18.
by 1808.
Or just keep it flat.
Yep,
It's easy. Trustees.
So you must the IT budget to 85,702.
we're only reducing it by 1,800. So,
It would bring it down to 113,777.
That was last year's budget.
That's correct. It's flat. Rather than an increase. That 18 is cut.
I'm sorry,
No.
I'm confused, because we're proposed is 107.
You got a $10,000 cut in
Yeah.
Okay.
I see 104 on the sheet, and I've heard it.
Yep.
before.
there. So one before
It's already-
17, yeah.
We're only changing hardware.
And reducing it by 1,808.
So that's the flat section. Thank you. Assessing. It's the 30, this is where Roberta was coming at, the assessing budget. This has gone up 30%. We haven't even seen it directly yet. Well, it's starting, I know.
I'm the
I hope,
person,
is somebody working?
yes.
Okay. All right, contracted services for town maps and revisions, do we really need $350 increase in that?
In the revisions?
Yeah.
Yeah. there's a
This
lot
is
of
a year of
mistakes.
revisions.
Well, every year,
Yeah,
but there's been a lot, people have been finding a lot of mistakes.
Okay, I'm not gonna battle on, said that'd be quick.
Yeah,
I say it's $350.
well, we spent 19, that's why.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Legal expense, just where do we stand at this point in time? I thought we increased that by $5,000.
and then I saw it change to 10, so I'm not sure where that happened.
Only budget was 20, and then bumped it to 25.
Well, the budget last year was
15.
I can't imagine. When did it go down to 15? I thought it's always been 20.
It's always been
years.
15,
We were
for the
talking
last 5 years.
9 years ago, it was less than 15. It was,
We talked about the fact that we have a lot more needs. So that's why we're 19,856 year to date.
So we're probably over 20 now.
Okay.
So did we increase it to 25?
I thought so.
According to these figures, you did.
Okay, thank you.
I think it's a modest increase at the best because the lack of code enforcement and planning areas and things like that, there's a lot of stuff out there. And I think we're gonna get challenged at something based on my observation in the last 6 months.
All right, now let's get past that. I just needed
It's
clarification.
a good start.
Thank you. Planning board?
Let's jump into planning, it's the hourly wages. That's been cut already by 11 plus taxes, et cetera. Well, we're funding $90,000 for the part-time secretary of planning.
No, that was last year.
Okay, and it's down to what, proposed 40, okay, very good. So that was a $11,000 cut?
Yep.
And Laurie added in some of the stuff, it actually comes to 11,252, so that's great, thank you. Getting easier. ZBA wages hourly, they're going up by $1,000, and now I'm hearing that don't know whether they have a secretary or don't have a secretary, or have a minute taker, or don't have a minute taker, but we need $1,000 for somebody.
They hired somebody and I believe that's established for the rate that they hired the person at.
Which was established by the Board of Selectmen.
7,500.
It's whatever George says, excuse me, whatever the chairman says.
Well, it's up to the board to provide the money, the chairman to spend, so. I can stay with the 7,500, every year it gets larger and larger, and I don't know, maybe he anticipates, and maybe the next year, I don't know. But we've typically seen about 16 cases a year. All right, we'll be on that. I'm not gonna do it different. Town buildings, wages and cleaning, 11% increase, do we have a reasoning behind that?
Yeah.
Shoot.
Police department hired somebody to do their cleaning over there at a higher rate than what the whole cleaning person was.
It was $2,000 more.
1658.
16,258.
1658 is the increase.
That.
That would be, one of the issues they were having, and
Is it a cleaner for all buildings?
no, it's a cleaner just specifically for the police department. And let me just give a background, I'm not contesting the issue.
For more.
The person they've hired has access to all the rooms. The cleaners they had coming in could only clean part of the building. Most times they came because, confidential information. They have someone internally who's taken on the job, who has access to the building and can get in there when we want.
Okay, then where is cleaning for this building?
So that budget is cleaning for all buildings, including the meeting house. But the increase, the lion's share of the increase was because of the.
Okay, because of the one, but that includes the 1, 2, 3, 4 buildings.
Yes,
Actually,
5.
right.
Okay, thank you. These are just questions I had put down.
Before we move on term buildings, I think there was a question on why health insurance is going up so much.
There was a discussion about a month ago with the board, and it's come up a couple of times since. It was 2 employees when I was doing the spreadsheets.
That's.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, feel free to, when we're on this.
We're going linear, Dan, linear.
Thank you, Bob. So, all right, I'm Tina's meat shield on these things, okay, so she told me she was very liberal.
We see the police department, once again, I get back to that shift differential, we're trying to add this in. We cut it down, but we're putting ourselves back into the same spot. And we're starting something in the middle of the year, and we're gonna have to fully fund it next year. Still don't like the shift differential for one department only. You know, I realized that they work 3 different shifts, whereas other departments work at nights, all times of nights. But don't
Maybe
get-
all night.
Correct.
We
Maybe
had a
all,
lengthy discussion at BAC about that too, and someone had suggested that maybe not do anything this coming year and examine it and come up with a policy in terms of what departments would be impacted by it, not just fix one department and not take a look at highway and fire.
And they currently have a shift differential, and the proposal was to increase it.
Right,
yeah, but
$75 to $2.
the shift differential was never broken out. There's no budget for it. There wasn't no budget last year.
Right.
So you can't increase, you can increase it, but it's increasing from 0. So that's what the budget was. Anyway, just bringing the point up, BAC hashed this thing out quite a bit.
I agree with Bob that I think we should put it all in there so it doesn't come back and bite us again next year. I mean, it is what it is, you know, I think it's a key retention item. It's the only department in town that works 3 shifts, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and I think it's a big bow to keep people working at night and weekends and things like that on shift differentials. Just like every factory that I've ever worked in. It's a big thing. I know the highway guys work all night long, but they get overtime when they do it, but they're not scheduled regular shifts from midnight to 7 in the morning or 8 in the morning.
In a
So-
sense, they're emergency responding just like fire department, but they are coming out for calls late at night, but that's,
Police are already there at 3 in the morning.
Yep.
That's why they're there, because we're
right.
paying them to be there in the middle of the night.
Did you, I'll get on you.
You were going to make a comment, the fire department does operate 24/7. You just have a different staffing and pay more.
Yes,
So I understand the retention issue, and this might be a bonus system. I really would like to know if any research was done. I talked to a couple of cops, and they were astounded at these shift differentials. It's like, you take the oath of office, you're 24/7, 365. You know, it's like you're a police officer, and when you hire on, you know you're gonna get the shit shifts until you get some seniority. So I'd like to know if other departments, police departments do this, because the people I talked to never heard of it. They were just like, what? And, you know, they were stunned. So if it hasn't been, she said it was 75 cents an hour, and I don't know what shift it was, but going from that to $2 an hour is a bit much. If other departments aren't doing it. Yeah, it just,
okay, thank you. So Dan?
Ms. May has something she wants to put in. I will happily defer to the senior center.
Okay,
So Rachel did say that she did contact other departments to find out what was being done, and she was saying that they're doing that, then some. Yeah, different people don't work the way that we all grew up. This new generation, they just don't. So she's trying to get them to work those shifts.
I think when they're hired, that they should be told that probably for the next 2 years, you're gonna be working, you know, PMs or AMs. You know, it's part of the job. You know, if a police officer is, you know, I mean, we have one department here, but, of one place to work, but
you know, it's like, they were really surprised when I asked about shift differentials and they just went, what?
Thank you.
And
Dan?
as you might tell, we have beaten this to death, brought it back from the dead again, and doing so again. I am, as much as the idea is one thing, talking about fairness, equity, et cetera, I think that we would be best off to have not only the chief's research, but other research, bring in the other departments as well, and do this in one fell swoop as opposed to we did this for this group, now we'll reanalyze it here. Let's do it once, do it right.
So I would, they're having a department head meeting tomorrow. I will try to be there and I will raise a concern. But I don't want to act on it at this point without the chief's
That's fine.
response. Okay?
Can we move along quick?
Yep.
This one's just a small one. It's the, operating second item, physicals, holidays and site tests. Rachel's gone up on it, it's only $170, but we've only used $525 this year. If we're anticipating that we're gonna retain people, then we shouldn't need any.
Well, theoretically, we shouldn't. Because we've
Well,
got-
we don't know that either.
Yeah.
But is that the increase in costs of site test and physicals and all that?
It's a good question to raise with them.
Just a question. Like I said, it's only,
Yep.
it's $170. You know. Right about Rick had cuts in his hourly. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
2750.
All right. Medical evals, Casey can probably answer this. You guys all have to have any medical reevaluation every year, is that correct?
The NFPA standard calls for some sort of medical evaluation for firefighters on an annual basis.
Assessment basis, did they go up in their cost, or did you go up in the amount of people who need testing?
It is, we are contracting with an outside entity that comes in and does everything all in one day in a mobile clinic.
All right, did they increase their cost, do you know?
Yes, that has gone.
Yeah, so-
Slightly bring the clinic in.
The hospital went up like triple, so that's
Yes.
why they went to something
That's
else.
why we went, yeah.
Okay, but that one up also.
Right.
All right,
I believe it was only that one day on, which I think was over last year.
all right, thank you.
And then can I interrupt on the PD's, site test? There was a note in the system saying that there was a slight increase in the site cost.
Okay. All right. Just, general supplies, did Rick go down on that at all? General supplies and equipment, spent double the budget from, that we had budgeted for last year, and he's increasing it by 100%. That's, right in the middle of the page, on fire, general supplies and equipment.
Mhm. Yeah, I see it.
All right, I don't know if there was any cut or any reasoning, a huge increase in general supplies and equipment.
I'm sorry, I'm not aware at the moment what that was.
All right, and as for that too, that's only $700. So it's not, I went through even the minutia, okay?
I would have been disappointed had you not.
Well, I didn't know we'd be able to get any cuts at all, so. Highway department, parts and supplies, what did Mike cut, by the way? He sent me cuts today.
Cut, materials by 10,000, signs by 500, and solid waste, he's shifting from, the general to, especially since we, increased our rates into his revolving fund of waste management.
He's cutting the waste management budget, an equivalent amount. Then we'll use the money that we're gonna raise from the increase in the fees. for the
Yeah.
permits. Okay. That's the question.
Right.
That's the answer. Right below that, it's postage, Mike wants to go up $100 in postage, or does he, but he's going down 100.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay,
You're not gonna fight that, are you?
no, he's only spent 269, but that's, okay. But the way postage goes up, it could go up $1, yeah. Well, who knows? All right. The other one is welfare, the rental assistance, I'm hoping that Gary gets that under control a little bit. Know that she doesn't have real control over it. Jeepers creepers, that's a lot of money in rental assistance. Although I know that's one up. All right, the rec, we already cut, 12,000 in that. The can is at the meeting tomorrow, please explain that to him. Oh, I don't know.
Which line, I'm sorry?
All right, page 14, Recreation Department. And it was the second wages hourly.
Uh-huh,
Right,
Sports coordinator's gonna come out of the rec revolving.
right.
all right, so just let Dan know about that. Actually, well, you figured it out. He said it's straight 12, is we don't save any money in taxes or anything on that one?
Program for them, 13025.
Yeah, but all of, we're taking 12,000 of his salary. It's gonna be removed from the revolving account. So we should get a little discount on, is he full-time?
So the coordinator is full-time, so the rest of the wages come out of revolving money. And I thought maybe the dollar, Roberta mentioned.
Yeah, 100, yeah.
One in there. And,
But anyway, we should be,
Yeah, there's a savings of about $700 down below in gray. Are you on version 5?
no, I'm still working off my notes on version 4.
Oh, okay, there is.
Spent an hour and a half doing my notes on this one.
I know, it's,
so it's 13025. See.
Okay, very good, thank you. Keep going.
Oh, on, the recreation, we have reduced on Monday, Halloween from 300 to 100.
Yep.
It's not reflected in here this year, but, no,
All right, just on the telephone, the operating for the rec, Roberta pointed out, we should really get everybody off copper, get them onto fiber optic. All of our departments have a gigabit of fiber. It's easily handles the telephone line business. 64,000. It's versus a billion, okay?
yeah, you just have to make sure you can have
Well,
the company there, I mean, on the phone to test whether, when you unplug and plug back in, that's set.
yeah,
That's what I did at mine.
the thing is, you retain the telephone line
The
now
copper.
as long as you have electricity, if there's a power outage. As long as you have a generator with the plug still plugged in for the
Yeah.
telephone, it'll work. So we should be able, several departments, we should be able to get rid of the copper. Phone companies are trying to price us out of the copper line business. They don't want to be in it. So they're almost doubling or tripling the cost.
AT&T announced that they are getting officially out by 29 this past week.
Just, I don't know what it is for business lines. My copper line is $72. It's gonna go to 21. It's substantial for a single,
The cut money down to $25.
yeah.
And you can tickle the prices every year.
Now, I do have the fire alarm, it's automatic dial.
Anyway, overall, we should look at that, to getting everybody onto copper as much as we can. Through all of
Fiber or cellular, it's one or the other. I'm looking at it, my line's hundreds of dollars a month for my fire alarm systems. So they doubled from last year to
we
this
should
year.
probably save it town.
Well,
That's
It's
why,
probably save 1,000 a month.
even
I mean,
the
1,000 a year anyway.
Oh, at least.
you have to
Across the
install,
board.
you have a generator.
When you have the generator.
Yeah, which is gonna be spring.
Right.
patriotic purposes.
Patriotic purposes is fine, that went up quite a bit, we're finally got this thing squared away, we're buying the flags from the budget that should be coming out of.
Correct.
All right? It was a fight between Mike and the veterans group every year as to who was gonna pay for the flags, and then who bought the flags, and then who overbought the flags, and who bought the wrong flags, so who received the flags? I didn't get them, I didn't get them. So we lost them, I say, 1 year. Anyway, so now we know that we're gonna buy them out of our budget and take care of that situation once and for all. Concom, it's just that the hourly wages and benefits. I mean, these people are not paying for their minute taker, and it's coming out of the town office. They shouldn't have anything in there for hourly wages.
Well, they still have clerical. I think,
House and files.
doing the files and all that stuff is still being done by the current clerk. The minutes are not, so the amount of minutes, which is significant, should be taken out. I'm not sure what those numbers are.
Yeah, just same goes with ZBA.
Right.
The ZBA is not paying specifically for that minute taker. That the town office is paying for that minute taker,
Right.
and it shouldn't,
Exactly.
then we should reduce ZBA's hourly wages.
They did hire somebody.
So,
Let's hope it gets done.
and we'll see if Monday we still are in that position. All right.
Laurie, just one questions for you, it's just on all the bonds, but they had a question on the bond, it was in here, I guess. Long-term interest in the bond, we're on the 16th page out of 17, down the bottom of it. That's interest, long-term bond,
Yeah.
very first one. Which bond is that?
Actually, I thought that was state law. Oh, no, hold on.
Congress Meadow.
No.
What other thing? Please.
We're just talking about internet. What's the company? Consolidated.
Oh,
Consolidated.
Consolidated's the big one, but there's the Concom. Oh, no.
That is paid.
Oh, okay, because you know what, I kept reading that line as part of the note. I'm going, I thought we paid that off.
Okay, that's consolidated.
And, yeah,
The next one is which long-term, interest, long-term bond.
No, it goes down.
Oh, is that the total? No, wait a minute.
So it was 42, and now it's 4. So it goes down each year. And the consolidated bond, they pay for that. We actually have offsetting that.
All right. Which was the second bond that's going down to 40?
Yeah.
Which bond was that? Still
That's
consolidated?
And you get a check from Consolidated to counter as
we're making
revenue.
money on that.
Thank you. I got through the last version.
So did we deal with all the changes in the highway that were recommended? Do you have those in your notes?
That's all
Okay.
good signs.
Signs and, now, one of the other recommendations is not to pay a COLA for the department heads. And that was saving us, basically, you have 20,600.
A little more than that, because you gotta have the social security with all that question.
Right. So we're saving even more.
No retirement.
It's about 25,
I came up with 19,000.
yeah, for just wages is the way I heard, right?
That was everything.
Is that everything?
So, and it may be who you're including, I'm not sure if you're including everyone who's on,
Yeah.
so, okay. But if you can refine those numbers, and we'll put that on the table. I don't know if we want to act on that, make a decision. Do we want to have a merit, we're not calling it COLA, we're talking about a merit increase for department heads. Wage adjustments.
Wage adjustment.
Wage adjustment.
Shouldn't be that much. Anybody that's renegotiated a contract too shouldn't be getting.
Well, oh, I agree with that. They've already got it. They've already had a wage adjustment. They shouldn't get fired for everyone.
Right, well, I'm gonna buy them tomorrow. Let's get it out in the open.
Okay,
Instead of springing it on.
absolutely. So we'll deal with that tomorrow.
The other thing that we have to do as a board is come up with a figure for the wage adjustment. Previously called COLA.
Right.
what percentage we want to get that down to.
If we went down to 2.5, it would be $6,000 savings. And if we went down to 2%, it would be a $12,000 savings.
What we have to find out is where do we stand on the water line after all these cuts, any further cuts? Are we reaching this amount?
Get in there.
Remember, we still got that part-time secretary deal to deal with.
Right. Which is a big chunk.
Which seems 50.
49 something, yes, correct.
Okay, forgive me, sometimes I get lost when we go skating and come around the corner. Did I just hear that the difference of moving 0.5% on the raise to be named later was only $6,000?
I agree. Yep, I know the point you're making, but
Okay.
hold on, please continue.
Okay. Silly me, I tried making notes and listening along, and I thought, this isn't on you, because you're gonna help me understand this in a minute, okay? That we were thinking, I remember the number 35, I remember the number 30, and that's why I just needed to check the imaginary battery when you just said 6.
Well,
Help me.
I'll help you now, because if we did a 3%, it would be 36,000. So 0.5% instead of 3%, we put in as a placeholder 36,000 as the 3% wage adjustment. And if we reduce it by 0.5%, which is 1/6 of that, 1/6 of 36,000 is 6,000.
I'm in with you now.
Okay.
That's just so far away from the numbers we had been discussing.
Right.
You will just allow me to swish that around for a bit, but so that I can savor the bouquet of what the hell were we fighting about?
That was discussed Monday, is that there was wide variety of thought as to what that was.
Lori May, you telling me it's $6,000 per 0.5%? Okay, you know what? If you don't know, what have I got left?
Yes, I had asked you what it was to reduce it a half,
Yeah,
and you told me 35,000, and that's what I reported back to the BAC.
okay.
And so I'm going, it should have been 105,000, total.
So that was on the most recent spreadsheet that I done too, taking out some of those other things that we had last week, so that the growth would have reduced anyways. I can run it again real quick. Let me just-
That's an extra.
No, it just, yeah, no, and it was 35,000 per 0.5% is what I asked you,
We thought,
if it was reduced from 3 to 2.5,
That would be.
what the savings would be, and you must have given me what it would cost. What the 2.5 was, not that.
I have to go back to that spreadsheet to see.
Yeah, it was a,
Anything's here.
yeah, it was a while ago.
at 35,000 for 0.5%, we figured we could cut out 1% on the wage adjustment, save $70,000. Not so much.
Not so much.
Okay, that was,
That's, and we're now on, okay, but like I said, that was just a staggering bit of information, so.
And I would just opine at this point that going after that, in terms of the hourly employees, would be counterproductive for that amount of money. The other savings we have here are significant, and I would caution against going after that last little nugget.
Well, I would not make it what the social security COLA is, it should be a different amount. So it can't be said, well, it's the COLA. No, it's not, we picked an arbitrary number. Right?
I would truly love it to be 3 or 2.5%, but I've got a feeling we're gonna get it down to 2 or less in order to attain figures that we're striving for.
Well, you got 10,000 to go.
One other additional bit of information, we had not done the default budget properly in terms of not including 53rd week, which is contracted default. I mean, we can't just stop paying people on the 53rd week because we didn't budget 53 paydays last year. So that should fall into the default, which will bring up the default numbers by, how much was it? I have the number written down, but I've got too many notes.
Should be around 40,000 dollars.
With all the associated benefits, it's 52,175.
Correct. So the default number has now risen up to 52,000.
But this was already taken into account in the body, regular budget, because we've been talking about it being a 53-week budget all along. It is only the default method. Am I correct?
That is correct.
Thank you.
So the budget is there, the gap has closed.
What, with nothing else moving, if we were in the range we're in right now, what is the gap?
Not sure. Do you have it?
So I just did take in version 5, less just Mike's and Rick's deductions. And it's, a gap of the BAC of 86,577.
What's the total number with the change?
One,
Total number with the changes is 5,711,577. 5,711,578.
What's the default?
That's the budget.
that's the budget. So what is the default number?
And the default.
Adding in the 52.
Five, 4, 9, 9, 37.
549,
9, 54909.
509.
So roughly 222,000.
Yeah,
54.
90937.
37.
5,290,937.
That's the default?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's what I just figured.
And the difference is about 221,000.
Sorry, I didn't use pen, I used my toes. I was off by a grade. I apologize.
You got a lot of toes.
I do.
So I was just going by these numbers that, that aren't in here. And you've got it at 5687. And if you take out the approximately 50,000 for the part-time secretary.
Yeah.
And I think Bob just came up with another 2,800. If my math's correct, that takes it down to 5,635,449. The proposed, wait a minute, five, wait a minute. Right. 5,635. Which is about $90,000 less than what's on this sheet.
Let's see all these cuts put together and add it up and hand it out, see where we stand and compare it against the 5,625,000 what the BAC recommends.
Well, and that's 10,000 away, which you can get to by, I still think you can really look at assessing and zoning enforcement. That's just outrageous.
Carla,
After Monday's meeting, we talked to the library and have some proposed cuts
good, because I was looking at that and I was going to talk to Donna.
on salaries. We can cut 66,8504, and if you add FICA to that, it comes to 71,9645.
Say 71.
71,9645.
So that gets us $1,800 away.
And let me, I got one other thing.
Yep.
In Mike's budget, he has the pad with the generator, and we can give him $2,000 from the Burness funds to cover that.
Look, I think he is just absorbing it in his budget.
No, we talked to him, he said he was budgeting for that.
He was budgeting. for
Yeah,
whatever
so if we give him 2,000 from the Burness
That's like
funds.
1,200 generator, 1,500, it adds up pretty quick. You got 10 grand in generator, maybe it's easy.
So,
Okay.
so that's an option.
So Mike is gonna take two out of his generator pad. You'll get a donation for him.
Go get a donation for it, and it's under 10, so we don't have to have a meeting.
We paid it $999 before count.
Yeah, I know.
Tina, please.
Can we look at the gasoline budget for the police department? On page 8, the most recent report. We spent 9,700 year to date. We're budgeting flat, 16 versus 2024 budget for 16. But they should say that could possibly come down.
I'm trying to find it, I'm sorry, gasoline, I see it,
Halfway down.
yep. And we're at 16,000,
Those bills do come in late. It's the charge cycle.
oh, I'm not looking at what to use, I guess my curiosity is what the rate they're assuming for gas versus other departments in terms of prices and so forth. Now, she is talking about increasing it, in terms of usage, not, she hasn't increased it in proposed, but she is expecting increased use because of full department, which we didn't have last year.
Which I had in my notes that she thought maybe it would come down. But
Okay.
maybe my notes are wrong.
Hopefully the gas goes way down for all of us, so it'll be a great thing.
Yep, right now it's under $3, which is nice.
Yeah, and they get, using the earth card, they get,
So we got a pretty good discount on
yeah, plus free, extra discounts. Me too.
it. Yeah, we went over to that several years ago, just so that everybody would be on board with the same. time.
Yeah.
It's like, we just have a problem with getting something we can get 24 hours a day.
Yeah.
So, Lori May.
Yeah.
We proposed some changes here and keeping along. How soon do you think you'd have some numbers in a readable form? In terms of what the budget would look like?
Like in this format,
Yeah.
from the system. If we could just go back through everything just to make sure I have everything. I can go plug them into the computer and, it'll take a few minutes to get the format like this.
Yep.
Like I just noticed that I put heading on the pages, I apologize.
Not worried about that.
Can that be handed out tomorrow?
Yeah, I'm thinking of coming in tomorrow morning. And,
Even with the department heads,
with the department heads, I'm planning on attending the meeting, yes,
so that they know exactly what they've agreed to, whether they did or not.
right.
They might be surprised by some of the cuts that are coming down. So
I think most of them.
I'll bring a handkerchief. Yes, and
Okay, while Lori May does that, I had an attack of conscience over the past week. Okay?
it's gonna cost us money.
I know where you're from, you don't have a conscience.
Hey, in Ward 5, we had conscience. I understand why we did it. I'm not saying I still wouldn't do the same thing. But can I tell you the one thing in the budget that just has me, very shaky? That's the ambulance money. Okay, I know we made a bump. Okay? I understand that it was a good faith discussion and we could go on. I understand there are continuing discussions as well. All of that is encouraging. I just haven't, from listening, gotten the feeling that we're not still gonna get asked for $1.25, as opposed to being at 85. And that takes every one of these pipe dreams looking at the number we were talking about here. and takes a diamond match to them. I'm not saying anything can happen in the budget. I mean, if I look around this room, just in this town budget, there's well over 100 years of people playing around with this stuff. There's only gonna be so many surprises. If there's a natural disaster, it's unfair. We pay for it, we do what we have to. But I'm just gonna say that when I think insurance-wise and all, our greatest exposure, looking at this set of numbers for the 2025 to me right now, is the ambulance.
I did speak with, Bill this week. Tom had spoken to him prior to that. Tom had given him the figure. I reiterated that figure, and they explained to him, I says, in total, Bill, you're looking for $250,000 from the two towns, correct? He said, yes. I says, in total, this town, Ridge, gets 35% of the service. And the other town gets 64% of the service. I says, we are willing to give more, actually, than 35%. Will you get the other 64%? That's up to you, and I don't know what Jeffrey's offered you. Oh, they didn't make me an offer yet. They didn't give me a figure yet. He said, he's supposed to get back to me. He's got my phone number, my cell phone number, my home phone number, my email account.
If the phone don't ring, it's me.
Yeah.
I'm fine, I'm willing, but if I told you that hasn't been swirling around and I'm sure it hasn't everybody else as well. I just hate the idea of us going through this, putting it together. And I believe our request last year came after we did do something about the start or 2 years ago. Okay, so that's not a great precursor in my mind, is to.
I would say that after next Wednesday, there won't be any able to change the budget. Next Wednesday is the night we're supposed to have an agreement on this entire budget
Yes,
and a vote.
and we will.
Okay, and thank you for doing the sub rosa work. Okay, but like I say, I'm feeling like I'm a canary in the coal mine.
No, well, Mary,
That you're all aware as well, just that I keep hearing in the back of my.
So Bob, did he accept the 85,000?
He said he didn't think he could do everything he wanted to do with the 85, but he wasn't
So
sure. He
where
wasn't
was
sure
it?
he could do any of it with 250 either.
Well, I agree with that, but, so we don't have an agreement on the addition of 35, whatever it was, $85,000. So we don't have an agreement. I personally think it should be fully funded. That's my take. We
Fully
need to
funded.
figure it out, otherwise we have a potential of losing service altogether.
35% of the service we use was.
I disagree, Bob, 100%, but right now, the service is limping along with the funds they have. We've been giving them $40,000 over the last bunch of years. And, Bill's actually trying to make it an actually functioning unit by having actual money to work with. And if we don't invest in that, we could end up without an income service pretty quick.
I can see both sides of the argument, and.
So I think it should be fully funded. And Bill did not agree with it, just like I know as well. And I haven't heard back from him. If you haven't, that means we have a $125,000 head over our shoulders. So I would be chasing him for some kind of firm commitment on what we need to pay.
I think it's a nonprofit, and I think they take donations from the town of Ridge.
Well, we need to have some sort of contract, I think, so that it lands into a default budget down the road. And right now we're kind of screwed because we're gonna end up, if potentially we get a default budget, we're gonna end up paying 45 or whatever the number is. And if we choke it down the first time with wage increases or rate increases included in some sort of contract, it becomes a default item that we can work with moving forward in smaller increments instead of choking down a giant nut now. Because if we become stingy, and that's kind of a broad term, but if we try to lowball them, we may end up with a low ball service.
Okay, can I, have a turn? I agree with both of you on certain things, and I would put counter arguments for both. One thing is, we're not paying per service call, we're paying for our membership in this organization as opposed to, it's a great point that we are getting less, and we should probably pay less if it's donations. I'm not sure, and I appreciate you saying we would probably pay more than 34 or 35%, but it is membership in this unit. The counter argument is that, first of all, if we're throwing money at the problem, which is, he basically wants more funding to solve a number of problems. He has ambitions to put in sleeping in the remodel of the building they're using in Jaffrey. And theoretically, they would have to put out a bond for it to do that. He's got a roster that's in the fire station that is imaginary. He doesn't have the people. The idea that we could start an organization, we'd have to hire people, same people. And right now, they've been trying to poach on different places. They've got to get their payroll up, so they need an increase. That's clear. And it's a slow building process. So I don't think they could spend $250,000 in the next year because they just don't have the people to pay. And it's a slow development process to get those people. And they're competing with all the other towns who are being a little more generous. So I think 85 is a fair offer to them because I'm pretty confident that that's pretty close to what they could probably spend if they were building up in this gradual manner. I agree with you that we need to support this organization and we probably need to put some capital in there for their development and purchases and stuff. So they can work with it.
Carl, you kind
And the last point, at 125,000, it's a bargain compared to what other people are paying around us in terms of an ambulance service.
The way I don't disagree. The way I look at it is that we have an $85,000 offer on the table.
Yep.
That has not been accepted.
Right.
And if we don't have a concrete answer, by the time we get to this, I will not vote for this budget unless that ambulance is funded to their exception. And I think, we have all these cuts and we have all this other stuff going on, but I think, we are lacking on enforcement in this town from a code standpoint. And I think, planning is coming a long way. And so I think both of those areas need to be fully funded as proposed originally. I think we've made a step towards the legal side. I'm concerned, but we'll see where it goes. And in court, and I think Roberta knows where I am. I've heard the planning board meetings and heard the threats, but I think the ambulance is a giant elephant, just like Ed said. And unless we have an answer, I think Bob's got to, have an answer before we finalize this budget. And it needs to, I think we have to have some kind of written agreement that can carry forward into a future as part of that. And if we're not going to do it, then I'm not going to recommend it. But if we don't have an answer on it, I think it's a vital piece to this town. And the people here I was elected to represent the better men of the town. There are areas that I think are needed. We're lacking in enforcement. We're lucky to have a full-time police department right now. We need to do everything we can to keep them. All these cuts are great. I think it's great. Mike gave up some stuff. We gave up 10,000 to call for it last year. So I think we're headed in the right direction, but we can pick this apart to death, but we haven't a $50,000 discrepancy at this point, maybe even 125. So it's a big nut.
Yep. All right, any further comments up here? Or, yeah, Dan. Oh, I'm sorry.
Excuse me, once again, I will happily defer.
So I did all the calculations on the social security, Medicare, and the fire, hourly wages, the library wages, because that would have social security and Medicare.
I added that, I gave that to you.
So I heard you say the social security, but I didn't remember you saying Medicare, so I just did
Yeah.
the calculation myself. So I come up with on library wages, including the wages, $7,239.93.
No,
That was within, like,
719
$30 what you.
7196.25.
Okay, so the wages, the $6,685.07, that included the Medicare?
No, it was $6,685.44, and the FICA and Medicare was $511.41. On that,
So the 6,685.44 times 0.062 is $414.50. And then the Medicare,
$511.41.
511.44. Okay, so.
Okay, so we're off by %.
Okay. So do we have a number?
While she is looking for that number. Yes. Okay. I'm putting this on 1 minute. First, I always love when I have a girl around because she causes me to think on the other side of my head. Okay? I've said it before, I'll say it again, I'm a god that we've been in this deal, which has worked very well for us over the decades with JRMA, and I can't fix yesterday. The fact that we don't have a contract or agreement. Would any one of you make a business agreement for $85,000 without having something? No. We need to do that, number one. Number two, the key that you brought to me is they're a nonprofit. Therefore, they must have a board of directors. Are any of the board of directors, do they live slightly south of Jaffrey? In a town maybe directly beneath them? Or is it, I'm just saying what from having served on a board that had to have people from multiple towns in some kind of balance, if you would like me to contribute $85,000, which I'm not averse to doing, I might like to have a voice in how you spend that or how you consider doing it. If you're asking me the next year to potentially be at $125,000. So I think mentioning to our friends there that if a check is coming, we might like a seat at the table, at least for real discussions. Not you come see us once a year, once every 2 years and tell us we need cash.
I think Sam Fortune.
Okay.
Sam still on it?
I was just gonna, I think so.
I do think that's worthy of checking into, and I don't think putting it that way that maybe, you're asking us for a third of your operating budget or more, depending on what you get from somebody else. We'd be happy to put in some effort and energy as well, but we'd like to be in on the decision-making process. And third, reminding them that this has worked, and neither of us can really do it alone. Let's not price one side or the other out of existence here.
You're on the right track. I think Jaffrey will buy into it, the 125 request. But I think
They want
they're
to know.
gonna follow what Ridge's lead is because it's a savings to them.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you for your comments. All right, you hear the bell? That means we are now on other official business before the board.
I didn't even think you had an agenda for today, because I thought that what was posted was one line.
You need to be here on time. There is an intent to cut on map 6, lot 50-9 that we had delayed from last week. That was give Tom a chance to check it out. Not heard from them. So we need to put that for a motion. So I'm making a motion to accept the amended cut from map 6, lot 50-9 and Concom has been.
I'll second the motion. Can't get up there, get out there. Nothing much more we can do, I guess.
And they may have gotten there and just not gotten.
They don't until next month.
Anyway, go ahead. We have a second. And, all in favor?
Aye.
And do you have anything?
Yeah, and the informational items, updates. Meeting House Oversight Committee met yesterday, 10 a.m. Carla, Laurie, Jack Hanna from the church and myself. We authorized, they said, authorized Laurie to sign a certificate of authority for the L-chip grant, because the L-chip grant is now complete. All the projects that we were gonna do under the grant have been completed. So they just want to sign off on the grant. Then there was further discussion we went on to that since the L-chip grant, Howard pointed out, was applied for in 2023, we're eligible to apply again in 2025. So we can go and get some more money from L-chip possibly. But we don't have to have the church re-inspected or anything. So Colin's been keeping track of all the projects that we've done. That's pretty damn good. We've only done about 3 things. Yeah. One is refinishing the floors in the meeting house room and on the stage. We're looking to put a new roof on the horse shed, get that all taken care of. The roof is falling apart, it's gonna go out of way if we don't get it changed. And the third thing was to replace the drapes on the stage, curtains on the stage. They can no longer be cleaned, they're falling apart. So we can't even send them out to be cleaned. So
They can
I'm
send out people.
gonna speak to Deb Douglas and Deb Whaley, I believe tomorrow night I'll be with her.
Okay.
You know, ask her if the women's club is interested in donating money for the drapes. They can put a plaque up beside the stage and the whole bit. And that's a better way than put a small plaque up cemetery for fencing and stuff, I think. So hopefully I'll keep my fingers crossed. Maybe Debbie will say it's a good idea. So
Flyer is line.
that's, yeah, we are bringing it. Yeah. So that was about it for the
It was a couple of years before.
meeting house. So we're doing very well. We're proud of the projects we got done. Thank you, everybody on the meeting house committee. That's it.
Thank you. And, meeting adjourned.
Sometimes those are the 2 most beautiful words in the English language. Yeah, I was gonna stand to speak, so I didn't get all to hear my leg go in the middle of it. Thank you.
You got a lot done?
Oh, I done? Oh, is this new? That's tonight.
No, turn on the recorder.
I did.
Oh, good.